Okay, so welcome back to the archives. Actually, one second. All right, so sorry, I'm back. This one we're going to talk about the abusive man in everyday life. I've been watching Selling Sunset season, the newest season. What season are they on? Um, I'm not sure what the new season is. One second, let me see. Season 9 of Selling Sunset. And sorry about that. So I've been watching Selling Sunset season 9. And as I was watching yesterday and reading this book, I was thinking about some of the themes that came up because you see this in season 9 with Emma and Chrishell. Emma's dating Blake. I don't know if they're engaged now or if they're married because I'm behind. But we see this with Emma and Blake and Chrishell, right? Chrishell doesn't like Blake, who was Emma's boyfriend of like a year and a bit. And you see in at one point they're at dinner and Chrishell is going through like these men have a playbook, right? He Blake is exhibiting all of these signs. He isolates you. He's a little bit disrespectful. He's kind of a douchebag. Although I do think that Chrishell and Chelsea were being a little bit judgmental, right? So he doesn't like guacamole. But like you can see Blake is like playing up the stupidity, right? It's like he wants I don't know. It's just that interaction was really interesting because you can see Emma being like, "Oh gosh, she is a little bit of the mother in that situation." I think he's younger than her, but he has a lot of money, right? She says he's a real estate heir, or something like that. So the assumption is you are dating this man, he's giving abusive vibes, is what Chrishell was saying, right? He's already manifesting the signs of abuse. Emma herself is saying, like, yeah, he is a little bit controlling. And this is it, right? What are they what do they look like in everyday life? And you can see Chrishell being like, red flag, red flag, red flag. And you can see Emma being like, yes, I know, but I have to do this myself. I have to go through this myself, right? Let me make my mistakes. And that's usually what happens. You can't tell a woman when she's in a relationship, especially if she's been love bombed. And Chrishell says that to Emma. He's love bombed you. You didn't even like this man at first. And he says it, right? She didn't like me at first. I messaged her, she ignored me. I messaged her a year later, right? And usually in those situations, when they finally get you is when they humiliate you because they they feel they're holding on to that. Remember the first time I messaged you and you try to punk me? Yeah, bitch. Here's a payback, right? And that's not all of it. I also want to note that we can also project, especially those of us who have come from abusive relationships, we can project it onto people, right? So you do see Chrishell doing some of that. You can see that she's still in her own trauma from her own abusive relationships, and she's just like living it differently. She's like, oh, this is what I should have saw. This is what I missed, right? And you see her trying to warn Emma, but Emma's just like, "Oh, I love him. He's really good to me." And it goes, "He's really good to my family." And all of that is like performative stuff. But you see again that Chrishell is not wrong. There's a point where you're just like the engagement, for instance. I just saw the part where Blake has apparently proposed to her, but the way in which he's proposed to her lets you know that he does not really he does Emma's that girl. You're just gonna he proposed to her at home with no ring? And you see her talking to Chelsea, and Chelsea's like, "Oh, this is what I would do to propose to you, right? What Emma's deserving of." And you can see that Blake he didn't even try. He has the money to buy a ring. He didn't even try. He didn't even propose with a ring. And I'm happy she told him get up because you have to do that to those kind of men. You have to humble them back. Because if Emma said yes to that proposal, that's what they do. They do the temperature checks. How much can I get away with? Can I propose a bare minimum? And Chrishell already says he breadcrumbs. Chrishell already was like, oh, he breadcrumbs her and stuff, and you could see it, right? Again, I don't know their relationship status. I don't know what they are, but you can see that like that trauma bond is there, and this book talks about it. The more, and I'll get into it later. Later, the worse that these men treat you, the more that you actually become bonded to them, right? It's a dopamine hit. Now when he shows up after he hasn't texted you, you're just like so excited that he even texted you. So you probably would have wanted to leave him, but now you don't want to leave him because he hit you back up. And again, you see that in Emma and Blake's relationship, on and off, right? We're dating, we broke up. We're dating, we broke up. The emotional roller coaster, up and down. When it's really, really good, it's good. When it's bad, it's really, really bad. And yes, all relationships go through hardships, but not. It's not the same with an abusive man. And so this book goes into like what are they like in arguments. The argument styles is basically zero sum game. It's all about winning. They have to have the last say. They have to have the last word. They need to win their arguments. And so it talks about, basically the abuser's problem is not that he responds inappropriately to conflict. His abusiveness is operating prior to the conflict, right? It usually creates the conflict and it determines the shape of the conflict. And so, um, girl, what are you doing? Hey, Europe, what is going on with you? um, my cat is wilding out. So basically, he denies being angry, for instance, when he obviously is. Instead of dealing with what bothers him, he'll channel his energy into criticizing. Women do that as well too. What's wrong with you? I'm fine. I'm fine. But then you start being passive aggressive. So I think we have to also, again, I've been reading this and recognizing where I also do the same thing, right? Because we can't always be pointing the fingers when we also engage in bad behavior as well too. So that's another thing, right? Is seeing yourself and being honest with yourself about where it is that you can have abusive patterns. So he criticizes her for raising her voice in response to his stream of assault. He tells her that she's the one that's mistreating him. So these are some of the things, right? That they flip things on you, they turn things on you, they twist your words. You're to blame for everything. He doesn't like her appearing brilliant in public, right? Because if he sees her as dumb, remember Mr. No, Mr. Right? If he sees her as stupid or incompetent and she's out in public and people see that she's actually smart, then it makes him look bad, right? I would rather you not play fight on my couch. And so the book talks about four critical characteristics of abusive argument. Basically, the abuser sees the argument as war, like I already said, right? The verbal conflict is just he wants to win. Two, she's always wrong in his eyes. Again, I've just said this. Three, he has an array of control tactics, whether it's sarcasm or ridicule, distorting what you say, distorting what happens in earlier interactions, sulking, accusing you of doing what he does or thinking the way he thinks, interrupting you. Again, these are all things that like is just very common, right? Not listening, responding, refusing to respond, laughing out loud at your opinion or perspective, turning your grievances against you, provoking guilt, playing the victim, yelling or shouting, swearing, name calling, insults, put downs, walking out, blocking a doorway, threatening to leave you, threatening to harm you, these kinds of things. Again, if you look at that list, right, that's a list that we can all do. Um, so just basically, my issue I want to get into later is like a lot of these just is like pathologizes things, right? Symptoms. I don't understand what's happening today. He makes sure to get his way by one means or another. It also talks about how they have cycles. Like there's like the tension building phase, right? This is where they're like collecting all of the negative things that you do. They're making a list, right? They're checking it twice. They're gonna find out. Sorry, I'm so sorry. There's an eruption, right? Then they blow. Then there's a heart and flower stage. They're sorry. They please forgive me. I used to live with one of my grandmothers. She's not a blood grandmother, but every time you say sorry, she'd be like, "I'm sorry, I'm calling." I miss grandma. But that would be like that's basically being like every day you're sorry, every day you're sorry, right? I mean, sorry, because sorry in cheese, sorry is like get up, right? So whenever you say sorry, she'd be like, where am I getting up to going? It's basically like all I hear is you telling me to get up. This is not you're actually not sorry, right? I mean sorry and go ahead. And so, but then there's good periods, right? There's really good periods where they're good to you, they love bomb you again, the whole cycle begins. Next thing you know it, you're getting discarded again. And so, the reasons to stay the same, right? Basically, he'll get his people to apologize on his behalf. He'll rally allies. And so everybody's just like, just forgive him, let him go, right? Over the time, the man grows attached to his ballooning collection of comforts and privileges. Because you let it go this time, you let it go this time, he cheats the second time, you forgive him the second time he cheats, the third time he cheats, right? And they recognize the pattern. Oh, she's not going anywhere, which is what they want, right? Oh, you're giving up too. See, these women of nowadays, they give up so easily. No one works hard anymore for relationships. Everything is just everyone wants convenience. No one wants arguments anymore, and it's just like meanwhile you've like been giving so many chances. And so, yeah, so basically, he's looking for someone to take his problems out on. He loves the free labor from her, right? You're dressing him, you're his therapist, you do his groceries, you cook his food. Being the center of attention, priority is only given to him. He has financial control in some situations. I saw a video of a stay-at-home mom who's been a stay-at-home mom for like 12 years, and her husband just says he wants a divorce, and she's just like, he got rid of the credit card, right? He said to use your credit card, and she's like, I don't have a credit card, and she has nothing in her own name, and so now she's like in her late 30s or 40s with 2 or 3 kids, and she's finding herself a single mother. But she was a stay at home, right? So they take the financial control. Oh, say, and you see that in Blake and Emma's story. Blake wants Emma to stop working, right? Which for some women is lovely. But again, it just the whole idea is they want you to be dependent, right? So they cut you off from your financial stream. I'll take care of you. Don't worry, you can live the soft life, which is again all fine and great, but you still have to make sure that like you're still saving money for a rainy day, because when and if he does leave you, what do you have, right? And I was like, I still want to work, I still want to be able to create my own money, but some people do want that quote unquote soft life, right? So that could be really appealing, especially right now as we're seeing this huge like conservative push for women to like stop working and to live the soft life that often looks like a man taking the financial control, um, and that can backfire sometimes. That can backfire, especially if he wants a divorce later on down the road, and you don't have your own savings, you don't have a job. And so, ensuring that his career education or his goals are prioritized, right? Because again, they think they're the superior ones. I'm the man of the household. You should be pouring resources into me. Their public status of their partner or father without the sacrifices. So they don't really parent at home, but in public, like everybody thinks they're a great dad, right? Um, they have the approval of their friends and their relatives. Again, they usually have sometimes family even turn on her, like, oh, she's a crazy one and she's so difficult to work with and she's not easy, right? Sometimes you really aren't easy, but they play up on that, right? If you are a woman who's difficult to love, as Warsan Shire says, and they know that, or you brag about that, then all of a sudden he'll like, didn't you hear her say that she's difficult to love? I'm just trying to work with her, right? And then so they use those things, those moments where you're vulnerable about your own faults. Now your own faults they bring up to like throw it in your face, right? And again, I've done that. Recently, I had to apologize to somebody because something they told me in confidence, I ended up bringing it back as like a gotcha moment, but like it was not really appropriate, right? Even though the whole point was to make them see that like you as do these gotcha moments. Again, it's not good. It's not great, right? There's double standards. So these are kind of the things If you want abusers to change, we will have to require them to give up the luxury of exploitation. They exploit because they love it, right? They love it because they have the power, they control. They use intimidation sometimes. Basically, trust your intuition. That's what it says. Research indicates that a woman's intuitive sense of whether or not her partner will be violent towards her is substantially more accurate predictor of future violence than any other warning sign. If you already have your spidey senses are saying like, if you have to question, is this abuse? It probably is moving towards abuse or already is, right? If your friends are saying he's abusive, it probably means that he's abusive, but you just can't see it because you don't want to see it, right? You're in that love bomb phase. You want to have hope, right? That it gets better. You know it was good at one point. You want it to get back to that. You don't want to give up, right? You don't want to give up. But trust your intuition. That's something I wish I had done. Just trust your intuition, right? When you see those dreams, I used to have dreams that somebody would like literally shove me in uh, a trunk and like slit my throat and stuff. And I'm like, oh my god, I can girl, the dream wasn't. Who was it? I think it was one of the Love Is Blind. Somebody had a dream that she bailed a man out. Who was it? I think it was the most recent Love Is Blind. She's like, I had a dream about you. I bailed you out of prison with your mom. And she's like, please marry me. And it's like, girl, the dream is telling you you had a dream that he was in prison and you bailed him out of prison with his mom. That dream hooked her in. She was like, ooh, this is the one. What is wrong with us? So I think that's another thing. It's like at some point we also have to be like accountable that like we did not make great decisions. I did not make great decisions. My intuition, the spidey senses was saying abort, abort, danger, danger, danger. And she's like, oh no, I could finally get married. I could be a valuable woman in society. And I'm like, oh my god. So yeah, basically that's it. It goes into like cultural differences. Basically, it's just basically saying like white boys really, really like to argue. Some of the black and brown boys, they're more concerned about like their social lives around food. They want a woman to cook and clean for them. All of them are fanatically jealous. Some hit their kids with belts. Others take their kids from court. Use the court systems to take their kids, even though they don't take care of them. They just want to win and have that power and control over the woman. So yeah, basically that's what it goes into, right? They do victim blaming. Same thing with all these patterns: control, entitlement, disrespect, excuses, justification, or victim blaming, physical intimidation and violence. Um, yeah, and it's a worldwide problem. It's an epidemic everywhere. Red pills are on the rise. Again, it's usually a pushback to women's some sort of perceived advancement, right? So, yeah, that's pretty much it. It'll say that God set them as a superior one, so they're just right. They're the most enlightened one. It's biblical. They need that Proverbs 31 woman or 33, whichever it is. Um, I'm just gonna end it there. It goes into same-sex abusers. I might do that in the next one, but yeah, pretty much these are some of the ways in their everyday life. Everybody thinks they're great. They usually are great. They are great to you as well too. But then every now and then they have to like reel it in to pull you, which leads to a lot of this trauma bonds and stuff. So that's the everyday, the abusive man in everyday life. I'm gonna end it here. Okay, until next time. In solidarity.